Hey everybody, welcome to Creature Club. I'm Mikey.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Tim.
In this show, we like to go through the monster manual and talk about monsters. That's us. That's what we do.
That's what we do.
This is like the fourth take of me doing this.
Well, we got there in the end. God help us.
We got there.
We did.
This is literally the second episode we needed 4 takes. We are going to cover aboleths or aboleths.
Or Aboleth.
Or Aboleths. We don't know. What we call them for this episode?
I'm comfortable with Aboleth.
I think aboleth sounds
I've
the
been
most...
calling them Aboleth the entire time.
me too.
Yeah.
But if you call them Aboleth, potato,
Yeah.
I never heard anyone ever call potato.
yeah,
But
just pretend we say Aboleth the
Yeah,
whole time.
that's true.
yeah.
In this show, we'd like to talk about the monster. We start off by just talking about where did this boy come from. Aboleths. They have been around for a long time. According to this very, very elaborate document I have in front of me that I wrote myself, it's handwritten with my blood. They first came out in first editions. They are as old as the game.
First in the Dwellers of the Forbidden City is the
I
name
didn't
of
know that.
the...
Cool.
Yeah. And they are originally from Far Realm. Oh, sorry, the Underdark. They weren't given a position in the original place, but they were kind of thickened out and given a bit more backstory in 4th edition, I believe, where they were from the Far Realm or the Sea of Fallen Stars.
That's a lovely name. So we should also say what an aboleth is. It's sort of a fish that ends in tentacles instead of a fin. I think it'd probably be the fairest way to put it.
They're pretty big, scary boys.
Yeah,
They are.
They have a whole bunch of eyes, and they seem to have just one mandible.
Yes.
Which is one of the most terrifying things I think you can have in like a sea creature.
Yeah.
Just like the single maw.
Yeah, they're kind of they're sort of they've got that like sort of deep sea Chthonian vibe of like this creature that's very like old and not like us, and you know, so it's
Should I say the quote there to just set the scene for these guys?
You should
a
actually.
beautiful quote.
It's a great piece of writing.
Could it be that aboleths are older than the gods? That before the divine ones came to be, such horrors shaped the multiverse? That is a chilling thought.
Yeah.
And that's
Terrifying stuff.
Vakir Zekra, a Gitseri.
Oh,
And that's from the Far Realm. Real yet unreal. That's on the... I read that off the monster manual. They like to put little quotes there to kind of set the scene for the monster.
Yeah, it's
and this one was really cool.
Yeah.
Like, as Dan said, very, like, Cluthonian? How do you say
Chthonian.
that? Very Lovecraftian.
Yes. Yeah. Also accurate.
Yeah. Very kind of like they've been there for a while and just like very cosmic horror kind of stuff.
Yes.
Where
They're
even
exceptionally
looking
powerful.
at them is just like humans
yeah.
cannot be able to comprehend if you ever fought
They're
them.
all about the mind bending and the, like psionic influence and like manipulating.
As I told the
people's
guys
brains.
before we started recording this, that I saw on Reddit a guy explain them as if Professor X was an evil fish monster, and that's kind of their powers. So
And like sort of the works of H.P. Lovecraft, especially Cthulhu, like the aboleths come from the bottom of the ocean, and like so it's the same idea of like it's just somewhere we can't reach, and that's where they're from, and it's dangerous.
Big scary tentacle boys.
Big scary tentacle boys. So aboleths are, I think it's reasonable. I think we've all kind of reached this consensus. They're kind of they're a big bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you don't fight. I mean, you could fight like I guess a tribe of aboleths, but they would be like if there was more than one, their grouping would still be the primary antagonist of whatever story you're putting together.
I remember in 4E they had like different versions, like the Aboleth Lasher, the Aboleth Slime Mage, the Aboleth Observer, and the Aboleth Servitor. That's just off the top of my head there.
Sorry, Slime Mage?
Yeah, Slime Mage.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so we had different types of them, but the 5E book just has the one Aboleth.
Yeah.
There is writing about them having the kind of broods where you might face a couple different kinds, maybe in the 4th edition or some of the other ones.
You can probably fight a bunch of them in 5e.
Yeah, pretty successfully, I'd imagine. They're not hugely high challenge rating in the book, I don't believe.
Well, they're challenge rating 10.
They're challenge rating 10, so yes,
10.
they are.
They're a pretty big bad, but
Yeah.
later game kind of god tier kind of stuff.
I'm sure you could tone them down if you wanted to have maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Like a cabal. They'd make a great cabal. That's a great word for them, I think.
Good.
Yeah, we'll get to the meat of the that when we get to like the technical part. But they're very much like they have a bunch of just looking at it now, just glancing. A bunch of actions and stuff, like legendary actions. They have lair actions.
They have a whole rule page. Like a lot of stuff going on.
There's a lot dedicated to just them in the handbook.
But actually, a quick aside. with lair actions, I've never used anything like that before in any of my encounters.
I love the idea of that kind of stuff. Like, they have lived in this place so long that, like, their psionic influence or just their presence.
But I think it's also just a great way to represent. I think it's supposed to really kind of evoke that feel of you're taking on the boss. Like, you're not fighting
head honcho.
some chump. You're fighting like this isn't a cave. This is their cave, and like that's like, you know what I mean. Like that's kind of like, it's a great way to represent it. I actually I actually would love to like these lair actions are so exciting. But let's talk a little bit about like who the Aboleths are. So obviously they're deep sea monsters. They are very, very old. So like, what kind of creatures are they? Obviously, we did this a bit with the Aarakocra. So they're evil, unsurprisingly.
Yeah. They're aberrations.
They are lawful evil, which is interesting. I think, at least.
Yeah.
It suggests that they may have some sort of code, but I think the lawful suggests, because their sort of point of view is that they are the foremost. They're the supreme beings. Yeah. They should be in charge of everything.
They come before all of y'all, kind of thing.
But like they effectively view the rest of reality as those young upstarts who tried to take our jobs.
We were here first.
We were here first. Yeah, we were here first, therefore it's ours. And like, so I think that sort of like the lawful represents kind of how they view this very like, they have this hierarchical view with themselves on top.
Like the first thing it says here, the first little bullet point on them, eternal memories, have like flawless memories, and they just like, they pass on their knowledge, but they just like absolutely flawless memories what they know.
When they are born, however they are born with the memories of their ancestors, which is a really, really cool kind of thing. So that if for example, one of you play a campaign and an Aboleth is slain, they might have laid an egg somewhere, and they could have the memories of.
They could even remember the characters, and want revenge, which is a great setup.
It's a really powerful thing.
Yeah, memory is so useful, and like it's like
throwbacks in a campaign, and just like self-referential stuff is also extremely powerful in a game, I think.
And in storytelling, it's a great way to hammer home themes and things. So they're psychic monsters. They want to own everything. They want to control everything. They want to be in charge. They want to be the best, like no one ever was.
Catch them, the human race,
all races. Like that's a really interesting feature of them, that they have this, like, they perfectly contain all the memories of the previous generations, but also if they eat anything, if they eat a person, they gain all that person's knowledge, which is actually one of the reasons they like to eat people, because they can subsist off anything. They almost don't need food. They're like that sort of creature, but like they want to eat people because they enjoy both the food and the knowledge that the new knowledge they're getting, because I suppose what's interesting about them is that like it's partly knowledge, but it's also partly memory. And like there's kind of a fun thing here where, like, you know, you could argue, like, if let's say for example it's entirely an intellectual pursuit. Let's say you're like a mind flayer or whatever, you want everyone's knowledge. Obviously peasants don't have a lot of knowledge that you don't know. Like, there's only so much farming they can learn before you take their brains. But like an Aboleth wants memory, and everyone has memories. So there's value in every person to an Aboleth. Like, they want to eat everyone, which I think is actually kind of cool, and like it explains like how they might act in a more interesting way. Like, there's a good reason they would just kidnap droves of people to eat them, because they're all their unique experiences are food to the Aboleth, basically.
Powerfully evil. You know, it doesn't get much more evil than that.
It doesn't get much more evil. I mean,
all I want to do is eat a bunch of people.
All they want to do is eat your brains. I'll sing that again when the zombies episode comes out.
Ooh, that's a long way away.
That's like the last episode of this season, I guess.
And the Illithid or the Mind Flayers are like, you got a couple opportunities.
I'll do a nice little bookend at that. I don't know if it'll be zombies or it'll be undead. I actually haven't read that far, but but anyway, that's pretty evil.
So they are so powerful that they are almost gods in their own way. Obviously they're CR10, so you could argue no, they're not, but like they're supposed to be. And I think it's very much like they can wield the same influence as gods. They can control people, and like, you know, they can have legions of followers.
They are enemies of the gods.
They are.
So you quote this third bullet point, but we'll just skip there because we're talking about gods.
I was only going to mention that they're actually also, that, like the Arakocra we've already covered, they are also from the an elemental plane. They're from the elemental plane of water.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because they're obviously very water.
They kind of moved there from like a far realm.
Yeah, they're maybe not from anywhere, and that's kind of where they live now, and no one's quite sure where they're from.
So cool. Yeah. The far realm, and then they went to the prime material plane, and then they went to the elemental plane of water, and then I think in one of the books they like lived in like a large body of water in one of the like prime material planes. Like they had a giant lake to themselves.
Oh, okay, cool.
Basically, and that was like their prime origin, or as far back as people can get. So they all know because they all have their entire history.
Yeah, because they all basically have their own histories.
Ain't telling nobody.
But yeah, and obviously, like it describes here how they're sort of quite like they're not just mindless. They're kind of capable of being persuasive and controlling, like
and cruel.
You know, they can read your mind and they know what you want, and they can promise you power and glory and all those things that like. So they can have like. I feel like it's great. You can really have like this Aboleth, who is this quite mysterious creature, and he maybe has like some weak-willed creatures under him, but then also like the scum, for example, who are kind of like evil fish people, who obviously we won't get to for a while.
Are scum infighting?
I'm actually not sure if they're. I was actually about to say I don't know if they're in the monster manual, but
not that I've seen.
Oh, fair enough.
Are they in Pathfinder?
They're in Pathfinder, and they're
when we get to our Pathfinder season.
There are 4 monster manuals in Pathfinder.
That'll be a long season.
I am not kidding. But anyway, the scum are just evil fish people. They're from older editions of D&D, but like they're a great like base following for something like an Aboleth because they're kind of like weak-willed, and you know they're just water orcs. They're kind of they're shite people who work for wankers, you know, like that sort of thing. So that's cool. But then you can also have like. You know, you can have like fallen paladins and like you know, like mercenaries and like all these unusual characters, even like wizards who want the lore that the Aboleths have. Like you know, maybe they feel like they're trying to outsmart the Aboleth, and the Aboleth's like you can never like I've been around for so long.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's a great like you can have such a varied following for an Aboleth. They are just an excellent big bad, and they're so strange that it could take so long for the players to even realize they're facing an Aboleth.
What's like scares me most, I guess, like about Aboleths. Is that let's say if you put them in your setting, and you kind of like, how do you beat the Aboleths? Like you can beat one of them, but you can't beat them all because they just seem to keep coming back. Unless like you go in there and kill every single Aboleth, but that doesn't seem possible really. But but it seems like they're kind of like they can't lose really, and just how if they pass on the knowledge and stuff, it's almost like they're all kind of like a hive mind kind of situation.
Yeah, kind of. I get that.
Like it just seemed that like they're a very powerful enemy and a very good big bad. And they're pretty scary. You know, I wouldn't want to go up against one of them, to be honest with you.
They're
But I'd love to throw them at my players. So.
I think one of the most powerful things that I think it could be used as a DM is like you could have this, like they could be controlling a person and using this kind of probing psionic influence. You could like take little bits of the story that basically you have told with your friends. Like you could use the history that you've told and be like, ooh, how does it know this thing? Like without revealing that it is like psychically probing them.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's fun.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff you can do. With Aboleths.
Aboleths.
We're calling them Aboleths now, not Aboleths.
So
they're Abolists.
So there was just 2 things I wanted to touch on very quickly. Before we maybe moved on to like the fun mechanical gears and grinds.
Yeah. The meat and potatoes.
The meat and potatoes of your D&D adventure. So first of all, it's actually kind of a cool, I think, setup here as a way to introduce the Aboleth. It describes how the Aboleths it takes. So basically, it says here. A mature Aboleth reproduces once every 5 years by concealing itself in a cavern or other remote area, then laying a single egg and covering it in slime. The parent Aboleth guards the egg while the embryo grows and develops, a process that takes about 5 years. A newborn Aboleth takes about 10 years to mature. So, as you mentioned before, that idea of the players kill someone, that's a great way to sort of... There's an Aboleth in a cave, turns out it was guarding its child, and now that's coming after the players, or the children of the players, or whatever. So
and this time, it's personal.
And this time it is personal, like Jaws 2, exactly like Jaws 2.
You killed my mom!
So I think that's kind of cool. It's a great way to get an Aboleth, because it describes it like a cavern, rather than... bottom of the ocean. You kind of get the sense that like they could be closer to people, so that there's more interaction there. So I think there's some cool stuff there. as a final point, so obviously a lot of the time the Aboleths are sort of godless. They kind of predate the gods, so they don't respect them. Yeah. But in one of the old books, it describes that the Aboleths had their own god, who was known as the Blood Queen.
Blood Queen?
And I just wanted to mention it because it's called the Blood Queen. And that is very cool.
Yeah, like, what is that? What is the Blood Queen?
What's the Blood Queen? What does she want?
We had a Queen of Chaos in the last episode.
Yeah, lots of queens.
The Wolf Spider, that's another cool name. But like, D&D, you just love to throw out these cool names.
But like, I think that's great, because like, I feel like it's almost cool if... I almost feel like it would be more interesting if the Aboleths had a higher power, because they're so strange and mysterious and powerful on their own that they would pay tribute to this other power that maybe they're very close-lipped about, but they just have rituals, or there's something they do. They pay some sort of tribute to this being that they call the Blood Queen, but it's not clear what it is. I mean, like, off the top of my head, I want to make it like the first Aboleth. That's just the biggest and the strongest, and it's just like, it's just drifting through space. It's just this gigantic planet-sized creature that like births
fish in space.
Yeah, just this huge like. But like, there's no wrong answer for what the Blood Queen is. I think it's just like, it's a great setup, and I think that like it's a great way. I think, as we discussed, obviously it is even though the Aboleth is very dangerous and very cool, it is a CR10 monster. Yeah. So a CR10 monster that then is actually worshipping a more powerful monster is a great like lead on if you're kind of, I want to keep going with the story. Yeah,
with the brood idea that we talked about earlier, they do actually have like a head honcho guy with the broods. So there's an overseer to the brood. So that would be maybe one step higher, and then above that might be something else, like
slime mage.
Slightly more kind of.
Slime mage is the lowest rank.
Yeah, you don't want to be the slime mage.
You don't want to be the slime guy.
I'm the slime mage.
You're right.
Gross, man! Get out of here! Get out!
But like, maybe above them all is like this primal god. Like it doesn't even have like a conscience or a thing. Yeah. It's just feeding off these Aboleths. And, like, I like that as an idea.
I think that's very, very cool.
It just creates.
I also think what's cool is like they're kind of described as fairly independent for the most part. Like Aboleths, they don't seem to work together very much. It's obviously because they're kind of just inherently selfish. Yeah. But I think that Cabal idea plays really well with the Blood Queen, because now they've got this purpose, this common goal that they serve the Blood Queen, and that's where they're at. So then you have like the players are like, why would Aboleths be working together? Like, there's no examples of this. So you've got all this, anyway.
Oh yeah.
Just a cool aside.
It wouldn't be like common knowledge that Aboleths would work together at all.
But like, it could just be like like maybe it's just like no one's ever seen three of them together or whatever. But anyway,
they don't usually hunt in packs.
They don't usually hunt in pairs.
Shall we look at the?
Now we look at the meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
So CR10 monster, so this is for a level 10 party. I'm one of those people who like literally has like no idea how good any of this stuff is. So
okay,
I'm gonna go with my guts.
Let's start
at the top.
All right.
Large aberration.
So it's a big nasty thing.
Not the biggest, but it's pretty big.
Yeah, it's
lawful
big.
evil. Like we talked about it's
20
evil.
odd foot.
So it's got 17 AC, which is good.
It's natural armor, so I guess technically you can put plate armor on it.
Which does mean yes, like an Aboleth could wear like armor if you really want to.
Yeah,
but
and it probably like if you wanted it to have more, you could give it like a psionic field or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like mage armor or an equivalent or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of things here. There's a lot of
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on. A lot of it's just like so much such. What I want to talk about is it's got real far dark vision. 120 feet of dark vision, which is obviously very good. Also, it's got a passive perception of 20, which means you probably can't sneak up on him.
Yeah, no sneaking up on that.
And he's got telepathy. He can detect
telepathy at 120 feet there, and just a whole load of numbers there.
Yeah, so a lot of numbers. I think we can probably just skip most of the numbers.
Yeah,
they're just like it's immaterial. Like like numbers are the easiest thing to change in D&D.
Yeah.
So
all you gotta know is that what's interesting here in this part, languages, deep speech.
Yeah.
And as we said, telepathy, where they would mainly talk to, if they were going up against a party, they'll mainly talk like in your brains, in your telepathy, using your telepathy, and that's kind of a cool intimidation factor to it. So
I was only going to say if I were to guess based on these stats, I'd say it's kind of supposed to be like not too hard to hit, like kind of hard to hit, but mostly it's just kind of got a fair whack of health.
Yeah.
So like you're sort of just hacking away at it, which makes sense because it's supposed to be this big like meaty kind of creature that's flailing around the whole time. Like, so I feel like that's pretty appropriate.
Yeah.
I feel like
a little bit kind of like the Gate Guardian in the Lord of the Rings.
Yes. Yeah. In the
Mines of Moria. Yeah. Except less
the Watcher in the Water. Yeah.
The Watcher in the Water. That's what
he's called.
Yeah.
There's also another Watcher later on, which I thought was interesting, but I can't remember what it's called now. Anyway, I think it might have been the Watcher in the Woods, which was like a different thing, but it was kind of it had the same title, so I thought that was interesting.
Okay.
Okay, so it's amphibious, which is fine. It can breathe air and water, which is just so that it can't pull it out of the water and drown it, which would be very, very funny, but very silly.
But what I don't. Is it just a water guy, or can he float? Or something?
It says here he's got 10 feet of speed, so he's very slow on land.
Okay, yeah.
But he can like slide about, but he's faster in the water than a player.
For sure.
He can swim faster than most PCs.
So water combat is a slightly awkward endeavor.
Yeah,
it's one of those three-dimensional.
But I definitely feel like he has this like layer that you set out. So obviously, I think like you build it in such a way that like there's places for the PCs to be.
Yeah.
And like maybe their objective isn't necessarily to kill the Aboleth, but like as we discussed excuse me, as we discussed before, the idea that maybe he's guarding an egg and the players are actually trying to stop the next generation of Aboleths.
Yeah.
So they're going for the egg and the Aboleth has to protect it.
Maybe if you know you're fighting Aboleth and your party's about to go out, maybe have like a wizard or something say, here, drink this potion, you can swim. Or something. You can swim. I knew how to swim anyway.
Here you go.
Here's go.
Make it swim anyway. No, make you breathe underwater.
This wizard fucking sucks.
It's the worst wizard ever. But you know what I mean, though. You know what I mean.
Yeah. So it's amphibious. That's whatever. It's got two really cool abilities after that. Yeah. First of all, Mucus Cloud. Mucus Cloud has a gross name.
Yeah.
It's very gross.
It's very gross.
But basically, so do you guys know the spell Aboleth's Lung?
No.
So I don't know if it's in 5th edition, but it's in previous editions of D&D.
Okay.
And Aboleth's Lung is a spell that you cast on someone, and they can only breathe water.
Okay.
So obviously the idea is it's useful if you're going underwater, but you can also use it offensively. You can basically drown someone in air.
Oh.
Is the idea behind it. Cool. It's obviously harder to use against enemies because they can resist it and such. But like the idea is either use it on the party and then the party can breathe underwater, you can go exploring, or you use it on an enemy and suddenly they're suffocating.
Whoa. So this attack is basically that?
Yeah, this attack is, I think the idea is that the Aboleth had this attack and that spell is based on the attack. So the attack, so just to clarify, the Mucus Cloud is when he's underwater, there's mucus, great, which is, I mean, excellent. Who doesn't?
Always. Slime mages love a bit of
love. And if you're within 5 feet of the Aboleth or you hit it, if you touch it or if you're within 5 feet and attack it with a melee weapon, you have to make a saving throw. And if you fail, you're diseased, and the disease means you can only breathe underwater.
That's right.
Which is it's very cool. I think I like it because it doesn't stop you from fighting. It just means that you have to think about where you're going to go for the rest of the fight. Like it's a tactical decision rather than like a hard lockdown, which I kind of think is cool. But finally, the last ability, which is in my opinion by far the fucking coolest, probing telepathy. If a creature communicates telepathically, I apologize, with the Aboleth learns the creature's greatest desires if the Aboleth can see the creature. So I really like this ability.
Wow.
Because first of all, instantly you've got your hook for why everyone is working for the Aboleth.
Yeah.
Because all he needs to do is look at them and say a single word to their mind, and then he knows everything about them.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. That's such a great piece of like narrative storytelling.
It's not even a roll. It's not like a DC.
No,
it's not like a save.
It's automatic.
Yeah.
He
It's
just
just
does
a
it.
thing that happens.
Yeah.
But also the fact that it says that he sees the creature, it really reminds me of you guys have both read The Hobbit, I presume.
Yes.
So you know that bit in The Hobbit, and obviously it's in the movie as well, but I think I prefer it in the book anyway. You know that bit in The Hobbit where like he is hiding from Smaug and they're talking, but he's invisible and they're just like they're playing riddles and they're like messing with each other, and Smaug wants to kill him, but he can't tell where he is yet, and like it really like that. I immediately get that impression. The Aboleth just wants to see you. He's already communicating. He's already in your head, but he can't see you yet, so he doesn't know what you want, and you're still a mystery to him. And like I feel like that's such a great.
That's
like
powerful.
there's a lightning bolt moment right there. I think that's very cool. So I think that's a really cool power. I love that it does have a limitation, as straightforward as it is. He needs to see you, but if he doesn't, if you're invisible, if you're hiding, if you're smart, he doesn't know what you want.
Yeah, you'd need to have done quite a bit of research into your Aboleth before knowing that.
Or you're just hiding generally, and like I think that's cool. I think especially if you kind of if you play up on this idea that the Aboleth is frightened because it doesn't know what you want. I think that's very evocative. I think that's cool.
Yeah. So far, these first 3 feats, these first 3 abilities, have made this like one of the most interesting kind of monsters out there. Yeah. Just from these 3 things.
Yeah.
You know, it's a water. Sure, no one really fights water guys, and just put the mucus cloud and this ability, this telepath.
Really wish it wasn't mucus, but
yeah, but like you're just 2 very interesting, like.
Yeah,
I've never seen that
very
before.
versatile kind of thing.
I've never fought against any of these guys.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
Like,
yeah,
it's so interesting. And I never read this.
I know.
Right? It was like the Monster Manual was the only book from 5th edition that I actually bought for myself because I wanted to be able to like read it offhanded, and it is amazing to just dive into.
Yeah, I use the Monster Manual for just like
I know.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I want to fight undead. There's the stats for it. Let's fight.
Exactly.
You know, the ones I'm used to.
No, I feel the exact same way, DC. I think it's cool because this series is both for us because we're reading the Monster Manual properly for the first time and actually figuring out what's in it, but it also makes it's useful for other DMs who are like interested in, hey, I want to play a game with this or whatever. So other than that, back to its core abilities, it's real strong, which is cool. It can kind of grapple things, which makes sense because it's a big strong boy. It's not
wrestling a fish.
Yeah, I mean, trying to catch one salmon.
Yeah. Weirdly, its dexterity isn't great.
Yeah, but that's I feel like that's kind of I feel like that's not too bad. That's not too inappropriate or anything. Like I feel like the idea is that it just does everything with strength, like or it mentally overpowers things. Like it's not like very dexterous with its tentacles. It just smashes, or it just
super high
mind
charisma
blasts
intelligence
or whatever. And actually, that's a very good point. I love that it has 18 charisma. I love that the idea is that it's this persuasive,
the kind of whispering in your ear.
In the books, actually, it doesn't talk about this. Sorry, going back to Lord of the Rings. In the books, Saruman is described as having like this hypnotic voice. That's the reason he's so powerful.
Oh, Christopher Lee.
Lee, great choice, great acting choice.
Actually, he was Christopher Lee. No, okay, sorry, quick tangent. What was the story about Christopher Lee and Tolkien? Did he say that Tolkien said he can play Gandalf?
They met and he was like, oh yeah, you could play Gandalf, and then he ended up with.
But he ended up with Saruman, but the better choice.
The opposite of Gandalf, basically. But Saruman. Yeah, so I was going to say, like in the books, he's described as kind of having this like hypnotic voice. You can like turn your words against you. The scene in the movie where they kind of confront Saruman is very similar to actually what's in the book, but the only difference is like it describes how like as Saruman talks, he sort of hypnotizes the group, and like everything he says makes sense, and like all the men want to agree with him, and the only people with the will to stand up to him are like Theoden because he's a king, Gandalf because he's the White Wizard, and Aragorn because he's Aragorn. He's the best of men. He's also a king. That's the reason. Like he and Theoden, it's the same reason because they're both kings. So like but the rest of the men with them, the rest of the soldiers, like they're agreeing with Saruman. They think that what he's saying makes sense, and like when Theoden speaks back, they think Theoden is being rude. Like it's just this perceptual thing because he's so persuasive and hypnotic. I feel like that'd be a great thing to kind of play with the Aboleth. That like you just like you feel like what he's saying makes sense. Like he feels reasonable even when he's not.
And if you have like a mid-max like bard or something who's like 20 charisma, I'm even more dashing.
Exactly. So
and that's why he's in the party to fight this thing.
Like it's a cool stat line. I think it's a nice stat line because it gives you a good sense of what the creature's like. It's smart, it's persuasive, it's strong, and it's relatively tough, but like it's not very sort of lithe or kind of quick-witted, I suppose, with its tentacles.
Speaking of tentacles,
speaking of
tentacles,
and I was just going to say there's a really long description of what the tentacles do.
Oh wow, that is long.
I know. Yeah. So there's a solid paragraph about what the tentacles do.
He does a disease on you.
It's more diseases, yes.
But the enslave ability is what really caught my eye. The one afterwards, the 3 a day. It's basically he can someone he can see again. He does the whole probing telepathy thing, and then he can control that person if they fail a wisdom saving throw for any amount of time, basically, as long as he remains on the same plane or is still alive. So that is how he could like control the people and like transmit his will into the upper tiers of the world. It's
very cool. I mean, like especially like you can have this mixture of those who like who serve him willingly versus those he has enslaved, and it's maybe difficult to tell the difference. Which is very cool. And then he's got legendary actions.
First legendary actions of the show, I guess.
Yeah, first legendary actions of the show on the first monster. So
I don't really. What are legendary actions?
So
I don't really
as far as I understand, legendary actions are reactions. Tim, do you have any?
They're basically just actions that can be taken in between.
Yes. Sorry. So they're not. Yeah, they're not technically. Yeah, they're not technically reactions. They are like their own category of actions, but they're like reactions. Basically, you can take them. You can take them kind of. The idea is that like if you have a group of 4 players fighting one boss, the legendary actions let him take small, like mini extra turns.
Okay. All right.
So that's the idea.
So he can do 3 of those.
Yeah. So he can do 3, choosing from the options below. He can only use. I think only 1 can be used at a time, and only at the end of another creature's turn. There you go. So so it's reacting to another player's turn effectively.
Yeah, and as it says there are it can take 3 actions, but some of them cost more actions than usual. Like that.
Yes.
Psychic Drain costs 2 actions.
Yeah, so
because it is kind of heftier.
Yeah, because it's a little stronger. Yeah,
it's not pulling any punches kind of thing.
Yeah. So his legendary actions are. Like detect, tail swipe, and psychic drain. Detect is just that he can look around. I think the idea is obviously
during encounter.
If someone sneaks up on him, then they can he can kind of detect, like he can react to the rogue trying to disappear by detecting them and stuff like that.
Their cunning actions.
Tail swipe, which is he hits someone with his tail, which is just
down defense.
Which is just one of his.
Bit of Pokemon for you there. Sorry guys, I don't want to confuse you. It doesn't actually bring down defense.
It's just an attack he has.
Yeah.
And then psychic drain, which is that he deals down. Oh wow, that's pretty cool actually.
Charmed.
Yeah, that's really cool. So if he's enslaved someone, he can basically drain some of their health, and he gains the damage he's dealt, which is very cool.
Psychic drain.
So I do actually want to take a moment here while we're kind of in this area. Is that like definitely? I'm not sure if people listening to the podcast are familiar with this term, but his enslavability is a little bit of a death spiral. Are you guys familiar with that term? So a death spiral in Dungeons and Dragons and in other TTRPGs, but it's kind of from Dungeons and Dragons, and it basically represents any situation where it's also, you could describe it as, I think in general game design it might be referred to as a win more mechanic. So in other words, if an Aboleth uses enslave on someone, then the party, let's say that it's a party of, let's say the 3 of us are a party of and DM's running the game, and let's say that DC's character, who's a fighter or something, and you get enslaved. So now your character is working for the Aboleth, and he gets to control your character. So he's basically able to tell you what to do.
Okay.
So we, as a party, have lost a member, but the enemies have also gained a member. So the power level kind of hasn't swapped by 1; it's swapped by 2 because it's gone up 1 and down 1 in 2 different ways. So like now we have less and they have more, and his psychic drain is kind of another example of that, where like he's already enslaving, but obviously I'd say the balancing act is that if he does use psychic drain, it mentions how if the charmed creature takes damage, they can try to roll another saving throw. So obviously the idea is that like if you drain from an enslaved creature, they have a chance to resist the enslavement. But still, it's just like, I just think it's worth mentioning because that's obviously something you need to watch out for as a DM, that like you're not giving the players an example, like a fight where if the monster starts winning, it will continue to win because like once we're a party member down, we're much less likely to win.
That is a huge handicap.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially if, for example, it's much more noticeable. I mean, this is kind of a more semantics, but it's much more noticeable if it was, say, a party of 3 or party of 4. That like if 1 goes down, it's much bigger. Whereas if it's a large group like 5 or 6, losing 1 party member, it's still
mitigatable damage.
Yeah, it's mitigated by somewhat. Yeah, exactly.
Encounters, especially like boss encounters like this, like the ones that are supposed to be hard, are made for a certain amount of party members, and if you lose someone, then you're, as you said, like you're handicapped.
Exactly. So but I will say that in the like Enslave does have the thing where he has a limited number of uses per day. And it does have the DC to save is 14, and again we're kind of getting into details, but like that's not too difficult. It's not a very hard
if
save.
You're a high enough party to fight these guys, and you can probably do that.
That's a very good point actually. If you are a level 10 party, you can probably resist that most of the time.
Or have someone who can buff you up against it.
Or like and like even stuff like, because whenever the creature takes damage, they can repeat the saving throw. You can just punch them. You can literally just I'm going to punch Mikey. And you just like like it's only 1 damage, but that's all you need. Like I just like you literally just slap it.
Backhand.
Like wake up, you fool! Like, you know what I mean? But I think again, like that's almost cool because now another character spending their turn trying to help, and but yeah, so it's not too bad. I don't think it's
once again like a different encounter than just rolling attacks against something.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's all very cool and exciting. Let's get to the gravy on this meat and potatoes.
Yeah, the nice
layer
gravy.
actions
and Aboleth's lair.
So layer actions are like legendary actions. Are kind of a special thing for bosses to have. The idea is that like they have sort of an iconic location associated with them, and they get special abilities when they're fighting in that location.
I think they actually get their own initiative order as well.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, initiative count 20, actually. It's right at the top of the game.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Cool. Oh, yeah. So it's just that, like, it's basically, so it's literally just that he can take an extra action with his lair. So again, this is kind of a way to make it so that when a party of 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever are fighting a single big monster, it's not just like, he hits you, and then you guys hit him 3 times, then he hits you, and then stuff is happening.
Yeah.
And the layer actions are very cool. I'm gonna let you guys talk about them for a bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up the spell listed in the first one so that I actually know what's going on.
Yeah. All right. Well.
So the next effect would be that pools of water within 90 feet of the Aboleth surge outward in a grasping tide. So it's basically like it tries to pull you into the water where he is much more powerful.
Yeah. And that's really cool. Where let's say if you are in the water, then you just can't move around because
I'm not sure like the boss fight we just did in Resi 6 actually.
Yes, actually, yeah. Myself and Dan are playing Resident Evil 6. Weirdly enough, the not very good one, and this was that boss fight. But anyway, never mind.
No, I just meant like there was that bit where you were in the water. And like you were kind of swimming away from the boss because he's more dangerous in the water, and I was on a nearby like ledge shooting at the boss to try and dissuade him from attacking you, and it's sort of that idea of being pulled into the water and the Aboleth going for you, and like the rest of the party trying to like stave off the Aboleth as he does
like
kind
10-foot pole to like grab on. But sorry, Tim, you said what I said wasn't exactly what you meant, so continue. What do you mean by how you're saying it? Like how do you interpret it?
Well, it was kind of it's basically they're just being pulled into the water so that like they are now in the lair, which is where the kind of third lair action comes in, where the water becomes like a conduit for the rage of the Aboleth, I think is the exact wording almost. Okay. And you take damage from being in the water, but it can't be used on the same turn as pulling you into the water. Like it pulls you 20 feet in, so you have to use pretty much all of your. I think you have 20 feet swimming. Speed.
I think you just have half your movement.
So you'd be right on the edge of the water if you did your very best to get right out.
Yeah.
So it is a hefty old hit to get stuck in the water with an Aboleth.
Yeah.
Because they use the water basically as like a kind of a lightning rod kind of thing for their psychic power.
And like cool. So if you're in the water, then you take a saving throw and you take damage if you fail it. Is that what it's saying?
Yeah, basically.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Psychic damage.
So that last one, the top one there, I just looked up. So the last layer action is the Aboleth casts Phantasmal Force on any number of creatures it can see within 60 feet, and it has to maintain concentration. But as long as it does that, it can't use other layer actions. So it kind of has to commit to this one. But if anyone passes the saving throw, then they're basically immune for the next day. So basically, they can only be used on it. Like, so it's sort of like the Aboleth's first one. You kind of get the impression that this is what they'd use first.
Yeah.
And then after all the rest of the party saves, then they sort of swap to their other two.
So what does it do?
So Phantasmal Force is just it's a fairly straightforward spell. It just creates an illusion. And it can be anything. It literally can be anything, any kind of illusion. It can include like sound, or it can be temperature based, or it can be vision based. It can be whatever. And the sort of the person affected by it, if they can attempt to like see through the illusion during their turn, but if they don't, the illusion is actually so realistic that they can take damage from it.
Oh wow!
So they can take. Let's see here. Yeah,
it's probably psychic damage.
Yeah, it's D6 psychic damage if they're within a hazard within the phantasm. So he could the Aboleth could use it for. I actually have no idea. I've literally no idea what the implication might be because
Well, I think it's you wave it across everybody, and then some of them will get hit and some of them won't. So you'll be able to focus the people. Well, the Aboleth will be able to focus whoever hasn't been affected by it, and the other guys are distracted from the shadows.
Yeah. No, I just meant like I wonder what sort of illusion the Aboleth would tend to use. Sort of like, would they sort of try to like drown, the players? Like, would they kind of like
push them into the water, like make them appear in the middle of the sea, surrounded by sharks, or
like maybe just have like sea creatures attack them, or I don't know. It's just interesting.
Maybe because they're in line of sight now, definitely they'd use their memories against them. And
very, 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 very good point. Yes.
Yeah. Their past. And
very, very cool idea.
Traumatizing stuff.
Yeah.
Very cool. So there you go. That's
it's like the classic, like a dead loved one comes back, like, why are you fighting? Come this way.
And then it starts like choking you or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then like that's cool. All right, so that's layer actions. There's also regional effects where kind of this is what how the Aboleth affects the layer. And
like the world around it basically becomes a particular way because this thing's influence.
Yeah. So the first one there is underground surfaces within 1 mile of the Aboleth's lair are slimy and wet and are difficult terrain.
Ew.
So we got the mucus back, guys.
Yeah.
Back again.
That's where the slime mages.
Yeah. So when you're getting like if you're going through this dungeon and you're near the boss area, about to pass that fog, but outside the fog gate there's a bit of slime on the ground and it's wet, so you're just like, he's near. So
jeez, my new boots.
Yeah, your new boots get wrecked and you have to wash them off. But that's just the first one. Yeah, very simple one.
Second one is actually really weird and could be used against the players. Water sources within 1 mile of the lair are supernaturally fouled. Enemies of the Aboleth that drink such water vomit it within minutes. Which, I mean, first of all, is just so petty. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's real flavor stuff as well.
But it's just like so weird. Like, it basically means if you're hunting an Aboleth, you can't drink the water, which is actually kind of cool. Actually, it's very much like it feels important, right? It's
that is like a hunter's tip.
Exactly. Exactly. And it feels like when and this time the movies in Lord of the Rings Written Boromir describes Mordor, the very air you breathe is a poisonous smog. I think it's smog,
poisonous fume.
Thank you. Like that idea of like the land itself is against you. Like that's very cool.
Hey, do you remember that session where we were about to fight a boss and just kept vomiting everywhere?
Vomiting uncontrollably. Which,
that was
also
great.
Fucking hilarious.
Excellent RPG.
And the last one is really weird.
Yeah. It creates an illusory image of itself within 1 mile of the lair.
Anywhere within 1 mile.
Yeah. The copy can appear on any location that the Aboleth has seen before, or any location the creature has charmed by an Aboleth can currently see.
Once created, the image lasts as long as the Aboleth maintains concentration, as if concentrating on a spell. Although the image is intangible, it looks, sounds, and can move like an Aboleth. And this is the most interesting part. The Aboleth can sense... Sorry, do you want to read?
The Aboleth can sense, speak, and use telepathy from the image's position as if present at that position. If the image takes any damage, it disappears.
Yeah.
You see, the first thing I was thinking, and has nothing to do with it, was Crash Bandicoot, just Neo Cortex's head. That's the only thing I was thinking about during that. Just
that's like a real kind of like, this would create a mythology around the creature in the lair for like surrounding areas.
And you can do some mind games before you even get to it.
No, I was going to say, I think this is such a great horror feel, right? Like, like the players like are walking by a small stream and suddenly like they see this like tentacle briefly emerge
like
and then
through the canopy kind of
just disappear again, and they're like, what the fuck? And like even stuff like it's anywhere a creature it's charmed can see. So if you imagine, it can appear indoors. If the innkeeper is charmed, it shows up in the inn. Like it shows up in the back room, and they think they're going mad.
Like, don't ignore that. And just like shuts the door.
No, the innkeeper doesn't acknowledge it because the Aboleth wants to get inside the players' heads. Very, very, Mountains of Madness, sort of very Chthonian.
Super cool.
So that's extremely cool. I really like that.
Exceptionally powerful.
I also like the last detail, which is if the image takes any damage, it disappears. It reminds me of the lady from Dark Souls in Anor Londo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. The
Guinevere.
Gwendolyn.
I thought that was Guinevere. I thought Gwendolyn was
Guinevere. Gwendolyn is Dark Sun.
Yeah, and Guinevere is the princess, or the like woad princess,
the very well endowed princess.
The princess who isn't the princess. Yeah, the princess who isn't there is the sort of idea.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not really. I mean, it's on the description of the Silver Knight shield. Just pay attention.
Jeez.
Sorry,
do you not read Dark Souls lore in your spare time?
Do not read.
I do not read. Yeah. All right. So
that's. I mean, I think there's so much material about the Aboleth. Honestly,
there's an enormous amount of stuff.
It's incredible how there's just like I think this is the amazing part of the monster manual, right? Like this is 2 pages. This is only 2 A4 pages, of which a lot of them is like pictures and like descriptions and like
and we thought that one box from the Aarakocra was a cool idea. This is
I know
so many ideas here.
God, like
I love the monster manual so much.
No, it's unbelievable. I mean, like I think I'd like we're probably going to say this a lot, but I honestly just want to say like fucking shout out to the guys who wrote this.
Absolutely,
it's an unbelievable piece of work.
Like I think even when you bought the monster manual, Tim. Dan, you said that it was like the best book to get out of the 3 because it's just a great read. You can just even if you don't play D&D, this is a great thing to just scroll through.
Yeah, it is. I honestly think a monster manual is a suitable coffee table book.
Yeah,
because you can just look at the pictures and the lore and just be like, this is cool.
Yeah, if I ever buy a house, I'm just gonna put down the coffee table. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, like. The monster manual has never left my bag, basically, except when I read it. I don't read it in my bag.
Read it in your
I don't want people to see that I'm reading it.
So I would ask, how would we use the Aboleth in Encounter? But we guess we kind of already talked about that.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it a little more. So I think we've kind of discussed a couple of things. We've discussed sort of like Aboleths as bosses, and like I think I like the idea of them in a lair, and the lair is like this, cave deep underground on the coast of maybe a remote area, and there's a lot of water, and like maybe you even have to swim briefly to get there and stuff. Like it's difficult to reach.
You have like a little bit of a mystery at the start of the campaign, like what's going on with this lake, what's going on with these people.
Some of them are acting strange. Yeah, exactly.
It's like you hear from like a brother or something that arrived in the village, which is now completely like taken by the Aboleth, and like the brother arrives and he's like, what is going on here? What's happening?
And to the like you see these images of like tentacles and stuff around the place with all the regional effects and stuff.
So he just
some people are just off. Like the entire town's just kind of off. Everyone's
no one's quite sure what's going on. Yeah, exactly.
Some people are like the people who are charmed by it are just kind of like acting weird and strange. So that they can start the kind of your adventure with like that mystery to start, and then the adventurers ask around and try and find out. And then,
it's a powerful kind of regional thing. Like in a world, like the world is pretty big. It's as big as your imagination wants it to be. So like you could say like if you have a party which has probably been traveling around for quite a bit, if you're challenging it or presenting them with a challenged 10, they've probably gone on an adventure somewhere else and are encountering this new thing, and this place could be an Aboleth lair region.
I'm thinking like a lake town.
Yeah. I think a lake town's a good one.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Kind of like
with
sort of like Louisiana,
tunnels.
like kind of boggy and like marshy and wet and like
I was thinking like Loch Ness with all the like secret tunnels and stuff leading all over the place.
Maybe yeah.
And there's a big lake, and then it's just kind of weird. It's like grimy. It's weird. It's wet.
It's oh, great! Slime
everywhere.
Mage.
More slime mage.
What was I going to say?
I think you might roll a slime mage for next character. You think I can do that?
Slime wizard.
Just like rolling around with the party.
Wait up, guys!
Taste my slime. It's my cantrip.
No, get out of here.
Get out of here.
Tasty slime.
Bring your character.
You are absolutely fucking fired.
You're fired from our table.
The only thing I was going to mention is like kind of motivation. So obviously the Aboleths are sort of they're fucking pricks.
They're just like prime evil.
Like they are evil, but they're not evil for no reason. They want to be in charge, and one of the ways they want to be in charge is they want to kill the gods. So
is that really one of their motivations?
Yeah, they want to kill the gods.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They want to outlive everything, including the gods.
Cool.
They view death as the ultimate failure. So they hate the gods. I think that it's a very cool idea to say that maybe a group of Aboleths or a single Aboleth, like they're not just like they're amassing a power base, but they're not doing it for no reason. They're going after one of the gods.
That would be very.
I think
cool.
that's very cool. I also think that's a great way to link things. So you could have this town that's miles from the water, and then like these charmed people are like infiltrating the city, and like maybe there's like a theft at like, you know, and an artifact is stolen, and people are wondering what's going on, and like, you know, some of the stuff like that, because like obviously you could have seemingly innocuous objects that the Aboleth knows are important, and it goes after and stuff like that.
I'd say a good suggestion would be maybe like if they were going after like a god of nature, because their presence perverts the land basically, and it like corrupts and slime, and the water is poisonous basically. So that might be a good prompt. Like if you have like a druid in your party, they might find more motivation in this kind of thing.
And I was thinking God of Light is a great example, because they're obviously very like deep sea and dark and like, you know, wood, like grimy water that you can't see through and stuff like that. So yeah, I think like, and obviously those are both gods that would feel very good aligned. They'd be like on the side of the players generally. So like you've got this natural attachment, and like it's maybe like, and obviously you can twist it and like say maybe one of the players in the party is allied to a certain god. Maybe they're a paladin of the god of war or whatever. You could even say that god of war killed like, you know, a huge amount of Aboleths in some like ancient mythological war, and they want revenge for those previous deaths. So you know, you can link it to a lot of different things. I think.
So now you know why they're kind of after your god.
Yeah, you know why they're after your god, and now you've not just got to stay because the gods are generally like, these are the good gods. You want to be on their side anyway, and them dying is bad. They're also your gods you've committed to. So now it's literally your war. Like this this time it's personal for both of you. Like so I only thought I'd mention that is because it's like, it's one thing to be like they're evil, they're pricks, and they're just going to do bad things. It's another thing to be like they have a plan, and they're so like you can immediately be like, they're going to do this thing, and it's up to kind of the players now to sort of figure out where they're going, what they're doing, and how to stop it. Rather than just sort of going like, there's some Aboleths over there and they're dicks, and if you went over and killed them, that'd be cool. But like there's no pull other than to smite evil, which is obviously a great pull, but like there's also a pull to be said for like, they're coming after us. Like, you know, if we don't step in, they'll, you know, they will slaughter Tempest. They'll like pull him to the material plane and destroy him, like, or whatever. Like,
not Tempest.
I just mentioned
he's my boy.
I just mentioned because he's God of War, and I just read that before. But yeah, so like that's just sort of something, that's a cool motivation to give your Aboleths, and it's a great motivation if you want to use a group of Aboleths. It's a great thing to have them. They're working together for this kind of higher purpose.
Okay, so you found out it's an Aboleth. You know why he's attacking you, attacking your party. So you get there, you get to his lair. It's all wet, it's all mucusy, and you're about to fight it. How would you guys picture the encounter of fighting an Aboleth? I was thinking, it's a classic kind of like, I guess like Zelda boss-esque of like a watery area with a couple of walking platforms. To like hop through, or there's some bridges, or there's some kind of like weird like flooded mine shaft where it has some kind of elevated areas in it.
Kind of like resting areas where like like you're in his lair. Like this is probably not a place that people do not like. This is not a place that people get to very often. So like this is just going to be where he lazes around, but it's also like his home turf. Like
he just bros out here.
He like lays across things. And like,
the only thing I think I would make a point of adding, just because I think it would be cool for a bunch of reasons, is I'd put in a sunken ship somewhere.
Okay.
Because I just think that's interesting. I think that's different. I think I really like the idea that, say for example, the players are struggling against the Aboleth, then you've got this like sunken pirate ship just smashed up against the corner or whatever. There could be, obviously there's treasure in there. Hey, you get treasure, you got cave loot, well done, you've killed the boss. But also you could have cannons in there, so the players are struggling, and then they're like, wait, is there any weapons in the ship? And there's like a cannon or a ballista, and they run in there, they like hack the rope, and it fires this huge arrow right into the like Aboleth's chest or whatever. Like I think that's a very cool, like, you know, sort of evocative moment. Like,
and with like sunken ships, you can have your surface to stand on.
Yes,
you
exactly.
Have, like, them because with these lair actions, it's pretty much saying players don't go into the water.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you will be damaged if you're in the water, and he is more powerful in the water.
Yeah.
So if there's a bunch of sunken ships, you have to hop around and say, is your cannons working in this one, or is there something?
You could even have like the sunken ships are his trophies. That's why he's collecting them. He's got like 3 or 4, and like
oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say like that's why they're in this place, and like you know.
And like he asserts his dominance over the people that he sees as below them by like taking these ships and arranging them in his lair, like as his trophies.
He didn't check if the cans worked.
He didn't check if the cans worked, or he just doesn't care because he's like, I'm too powerful.
Destroyed by his
like, shoot me.
Oh God, stop! Yeah,
that's a cool idea. It can't like just
there you go.
It's like anti-lair action, like your own lair action.
Exactly.
What you're probably going to hear from us during this show as we go on, that we like puzzle encounters. We like the idea of that.
I mean, I just think they're just so sexy. They're just so they are effectively. I would describe them as almost seductive. Like, hey, beating up like 10 orcs is cool, but like beating up 50 orcs by like kicking over some boulders on them is just it's very cool.
If you play a bunch of D&D, you kind of get like you kind of don't always want to be just throwing an attack at a guy.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then, like that's it. You want different little.
Yeah,
things.
like those are. I mean, like this. Yeah, again, I guess we're using the analogy of food. Like your encounters are like your meat and potatoes, and then kind of your puzzle encounters are kind of like your occasion dinner, like Thanksgiving or Christmas, where like it's a bit special and different.
Yeah.
And, like, you know what I mean? Like they're nice. They're just and I think anyone can make an encounter where there's an Aboleth and he's in water and you have to kill him. And it's more interesting to be like, but what can we do to make it a puzzle encounter? And what can we do to do like, because immediately then you're giving people ideas and, they're able to sort of say like, oh, well, I don't like the idea of cannons, but I do like the idea of there's the pirate ships and they're full of skeletons. And then the Aboleth reanimates the skeletons and now you got to deal with the skeletons and the Aboleth and like, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of mileage, there's a lot of ways you can play with that space. I mean, there's other stuff that can be underwater, but like I mean, even for example, the Aboleth's lair, and this is again literally off the top of my head, could be a fallen merfolk city. Could have scared off the merfolk, and now that city is his. And now you've got allies
in the merfolk
who can help you get underwater.
Yeah,
they probably have spells to do with things like that.
Damn, Daniel, that's good.
There you go.
Top of your head, you've been planning this.
No,
you're on fire with these ideas now today.
Yeah, but like that's what I mean. Like
one of us is gonna like throw in an Aboleth to like one of our games, and it's just like, where'd you get that idea?
But they're so cool. Like, but like that's what I mean. Like stuff like that. Like, but yeah. Anyway, I just thought like it's cool. There's some ideas for you to play with. Maybe you want to add an Aboleth now as like sort of a fun bit, or maybe you don't.
Yeah.
And oh god.
Yeah, wow, we've talked about Aboleths for a long time.
I've never talked about an Aboleth so much in my life.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's Any final bits on the Aboleth before
they're
we
fun,
conclude it?
scary boys, except for the slime mages, who are total bros.
Yeah.
Yeah. Play slime mages, guys, and if you can send me like your homebrew stats for a slime mage, I would appreciate that, so I can throw into my next game.
I think the only my final thought would just be, we did this with the Aracocker, we didn't do this with the Aboleth because there's so much stuff already, but an Aboleth, who for whatever reason could be a very interesting patron, a good guy in a campaign, because all those powers, telepathy and illusions and astral projection and like, those could all be kind of great powers for good. I mean, even the idea of enslavement could be changed to like the idea of like he's almost riding shotgun in your mind. So like he's there, but he's not in control, and like he still has these patrons he acts through. And so anyway, literally just
like he has his entire history of like what his people has done, but like he has a conscience about it.
Yeah,
maybe have him going against his other guys.
He ate too many paladins, and now he feels guilty or whatever. Right?
Like he's like,
I guess they were right. You can't keep a good man down.
He gets like super guilty about it. He's like everyone he's like, oh, he was such a nice guy.
Having a good Aboleth would be a very interesting idea.
I think that's kind of something it's very easy to mention. Is like literally the third line of text. No, the second line of text is their alignment. What if you just flip that? What if they were chaotic good?
Yeah, like D&D is about like twisting the book.
Exactly.
It's not always going by this book.
Yeah, but that's all. Those are my final thoughts.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Aboleths, big scary spooky boys.
Yeah, well, guys, you should use Aboleths. They're actually super
so cool.
Yeah, I'm actually so excited for more episodes of this, guys. This has been fun.
Also, if you have seen Guardians of the Galaxy, I pointed this out from
the
first time I've ever seen it. The first monster that they fight looks a lot like an Aboleth. And it uses like a prismatic spray, which an Aboleth doesn't have, but
you can
it's
say
such a cool thing, So if you want a Guardians of the Galaxy encounter, use that Aboleth.
Yeah, true.
Cool. Right. So, thanks for listening, guys. That's been Creature Club, episode 2, Aboleths. if you like the show, tell someone else. If they please tell someone else that likes D&D and just wants to listen to something about monsters or wants some ideas. If you know someone who will like it, then show it to them, please. That'd be great.
Yeah.
And
what are we going into next week?
Oh, next is Angels.
Yeah, we're going to be going through Angels, Devas, Planetar,
and Solar.
Okay.
We'll probably give them a whole episode, honestly, because there's 3 of them, and we'll probably. I mean, look how much we got out of it.
There's quite a bit on Angels, in the book and also in history. I think.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of.
You guys would get that,
Yep. Can't wait to get to dragons.
That's gonna be.
God, we're gonna be there for.
We're a series.
We're gonna be in dragons for weeks. Aren't
we?
I think dragon. We might do like chromatic 1 week, metallic 1 week, or go 1 by 1. We actually 1 by 1's cool.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
Yeah.
And if you want to find out, keep listening.
Yeah. Exciting stuff.
Well, great guys. Thanks for listening. It's been Creature Club. I've been Mikey.
I've been Dan.
And I've been Tim.
And stay cool.